A lot of people would have thought, including myself, taking a plant strike out would have probably put a lid or taken cattle prices lower. And honestly, I think Packer margins slid in there and it kind of helped it out. We've seen the futures market in the last couple of weeks really push higher.
That's a head on. We live it. The Live Ag Podcast. From seed stock bull sales built on generations of performance to commercial video auctions backed by real relationships to equipment auctions that keep operations moving forward. Live Ag connects cattle producers to opportunity. Quality cattle deserve premium prices. The right bulls deserve more buyers, and dependable equipment deserves a fair bid. Whether you're consigning to a Live Ag video auction, marketing seed stock, or moving iron through the equipment exchange, we combine local representation with nationwide reach. Connect with your Live Ag rep by scanning the code on your screen, or visit us online at live-ag.com. We are proud to be powered by Biozyme, the makers of VitaFirm and Gain Smart, value-added nutrition partners trusted by cattle producers across the country. Now, here are your hosts, DeCordova and Casey Mabry.
Welcome to the We Live It Midweek Market Update. Thank you guys for joining us out there in social media land. Casey and I here today just going to kind of touch base on some of this wild market that's going on, all the different things that's going on that's try to shake this thing down, but just seems to have resilience. And every time you think it's going to just keep falling, this thing keeps going up. Casey, kind of fill us in. I mean, high fuel prices, wars, plants striking, all this other stuff going on. They've hit us with everything they can, and this market just kind of keeps staying resilient. Kind of fill us in on what that looks like.
Yeah, Ty. I mean, resilience probably the best word to describe it for sure. I mean, it's been impressive as far as the rally goes. I mean, if we go back and think about where we were, even right there, right before we got to January, back in November and December, when we had a plant closure there at Lexington, and I mean, there was lots of doom and gloom in the market for sure. A lot of people that were fearful about what was going to happen and take place as we went forward. And really, you've thrown a lot of negative news at the market, and then the market just continues to be resilient for the most part. And let's think about all the different activities. So at the beginning of February or so, there was lots of discussion around the Greeley plant strike, and there was a lot of naysayers on that and saying that we weren't going to strike because the last strike that we had seen, I mean, if you remember, we were talking to Dick Montfort about that. I think he probably had the last plant strike, and that would have been in the late 80s. And so a lot of times we get these, unions to where they get, pretty tough with the Packard, and they find some common ground to come on. And today we haven't seen that common ground. And so you get in about 3 weeks ago, and that plant officially did go on strike. And then you got those employees walking the picket line there. And so you got about 3,800 employees that have been displaced or not going to work there in Greeley. And so you've taken a lot of those cattle to JBS's other plants. We have seen some slaughter constraint because immediately when that occurred, we took box beef prices higher. We took live cattle prices, kind of flat to lower. And we saw the Packer margin increase quite a bit. So most of the time when you see the Packer margin improve like it did in that scenario, you'd see the Packer ramp kills up. We haven't seen the Packer ramp up kills. I mean, we got these steer and heifer slaughters running right around that 410 area, which is extremely small. You got to think back to a couple of years ago, we were killing 500,000. Right now we're killing 410,000. And so there's some of us that would probably say, well, there's not enough cattle out there to kill. But quite honestly, I think that given the current situation where we're at with cattle price and corn price and that big spread that we've got and the margin that there is to just continue to feed cattle longer, we're just going to make cattle bigger. And I think that's what's going on right now for sure. That's lent a lot of support to the market. A lot of people would have thought, including myself, taking a plant strike out would have probably put a lid or taken cattle prices lower. And honestly, I think Packer margins slid in there and it kind of helped it out. We've seen the futures market in the last couple of weeks really push higher. Last week, we saw the market pretty much advance every day. We ended there on Friday with the market going up $4 on live cattle. And then we come into this week and we can get a continuation of that. We had the market up about a buck and a half yesterday. And then we closed the market here today up $3 there in the June contract. We have now, from a technical standpoint, filled the gaps that we left back in November of last year, which I didn't think, quite honestly, that we would ever get those filled because the market had broken and been depressed so much. But again, today we filled those gaps going into the close. We got this June contract buck back at 243 and a quarter. August contract at 239.80. You got feeders like May feeders 366.47 today on the close, up 515. August feeders at 364.42. That's up 482. Again, feeders continue to be extremely resilient. And you guys probably can touch base on that more so than I can from a fundamental standpoint. But that market's been impressive as well.
Yeah, we've seen kind of lots of activity, lots of demand. I mean, the sheer fact of the problem, there's still the problem. The inventory, it seems to be still the problem. So you still got these guys in the cash market still fighting over these things and doing quite well. The demand is straight across the board for everything. I mean, you're seeing a lot of demand out there. We had our sale in Ohio last week. Just the demand in that deal was just unbelievable. So
Yeah, I think it feels like we're back to that time period, where we would have been a year or so ago or 2 years ago, where it's like every sale that you get, you're kind of high fiving each other, and then the next week you're like, man, why'd I sell them things so cheap? I
yeah,
imagine so.
yeah.
No, I think these feed yards and even the grazing guys are really, working their tails off to get that inventory around them. And it's a game of kind of haves and have nots here for a minute for sure.
Yeah. A lot of them guys are standing up front too and keeping them things pretty current, and they're doing a good job of it, keeping the cattle bought up. So, but well, just wanted to touch base on that. Didn't want to keep everybody long here. Just kind of give them a little insight on the market from Casey's knowledge. That's kind of like to pick Casey's brain quite often. So it's good to sit here and visit with you, Casey, and thanks for helping kind of guide us through some of these ups and downs. It has been a roller coaster for sure. So I guess we wrapped up kind of show calf season and show pig season here the last week or so for y'all, and this last week for me. Kind of looked like y'all your family had a good run here all through the stock show season. Your brother kind of went out with a bang there in Houston, which was pretty awesome. That had to be pretty good for the family. So y'all kind of glad to be over for just a little while.
Yeah, if you talk to Brad, I imagine those boys are pretty excited that he's got there. Landry winning Houston with that barrow. It's something that's been a lifelong goal that we've had. I mean, honestly, you think back to when even we were kids, we'd sit there and think about it and never thought anything like that was ever possible. But it's pretty cool to see my brother and his family get that done, and that animal that they had there was extremely special. But as far as like on our side, yeah, I mean, we are pretty excited to kind of get back to normal and have the girls going. I say they're back in school. I mean, they were today. They had a livestock judging contest that they went to, and so I'm imagining their teachers are trying to figure out if they even have those kids in their class or what they are. So they are trying to get their school in order. And I've been on their tail, to make sure that they don't drop their grades, and everything's been pretty good on that front. I imagine you guys are probably dealing with the same stuff.
But yeah, it's like twisting arms and make them do. I mean, just stuff they just got to sit down and do, and it's like how it is, just making them get it done. Because heck, I don't know if they're for a little while. I don't know if they went to school for a month. It seemed like it was gone every week, and then they'd spring break and was gone another week. But part of it, we love it. We love doing it. We love being in the barn. We already got 5 babies in the barn already for next year. So.
Yeah.
But no,
yeah, we're starting to get our fill on that too. Our county shows in a weird time. It's in June, so we got some animals that were neglected here for the last 3 or 4 weeks that we're starting to kind of focus on there, and then put together some stuff for the state fair. But I'll tell you one thing that my daughter, and this is pretty cool, Ties, and it kind of makes me feel a little bit good about what we're doing. Is Avery and I got back from Austin, and it was just her and I in the barn, and we were going through there, and it kind of looked like a little bit of a war zone. I mean, everything's kind of like spilt over and the pens are empty, and we're trying to kind of get everything a little organized. And I looked over at her, and she kind of had her head down and was looking to the side, and she's just, I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm crying, and I was like, I said, what's going on? I was like, you'd think that she'd just be completely over it. And she's like, man, I miss all those barrows that we had in here, and she's like, everything's going to slow down. It's going to get boring. It's like she had the blues at the end of the stock show season. I'm like, kind of fist pumping, getting them all off the feed bill and having to have the ability to take a breath for a minute. And that kid, she just wanting to go right back at it and hammer it down again, So it's kind of cool that those kids, that they find, what I'd say joy or excitement in the work part of it, and enjoying that versus, like trying to move on to the next thing or whatever, a 14-year-old girl's interested in, So,
right. No,
I think you got to take time to kind of think back through some of those things. And for me as a parent, my wife and I, we got to make sure we remain focused on that.
Well, Casey, thank you for joining us today, and giving us a little update. We appreciate it. Thank everybody out there for listening to us. If you have any questions, shoot them in the comment section or Katie at live-ag.com. You can text her anything, or if you want to be a part of one of these midweek updates or even the We Live It podcast, just reach out to Katie at live-ag.com. Thanks, everybody. God bless.
When it comes to selling cattle, performance matters. That's why Biozyme Incorporated and Live Ag have partnered to bring more value to beef producers across the country. Cattle-fed VitaFerm and GainSmart products are backed by proven nutrition programs designed to support reproductive efficiency, feed efficiency, and overall herd performance. And now, through Live Ag's nationwide video auction platform, those nutrition-backed cattle are positioned in front of buyers who recognize the value of a documented premium feeding program. This partnership connects what happens in your pasture with what happens at sale time. Better nutrition, better documentation, increased market exposure. Talk to your Biozyme or your Live Ag rep, or visit your local dealer to learn how VitaFerm and GainSmart paired with Live Ag marketing can help your cattle stand out when it matters most.